We have covered everything there was to say about digital handwriting. Now we are going to move on to paper writing. This video is probably going to be the most universally useful one in this lecture series, considering how not everyone can manage to switch to digital handwriting right now, especially considering the whole pandemic situation. It's true that almost everyone has a smart device with touchscreen these days, but not all of them are suitable for our writing purpose, and many people might not be interested in buying and learning about writing tablets. However, every single teacher is comfortable with writing on paper, so as long as you have a proper setup and are in a well-lit environment, it should not be a problem for you to teach using paper writing and recording that writing. Okay, so let's start. Everyone who plans to use paper and pen to do their lecture, they face the challenge of properly recording their writing using a camera. So other than doing the obvious things like working in a well-lit environment and writing using a good marker, you also have to make sure that you have certain equipment. Like you have to keep your phone in a stable position, so you have to use some sort of stand for it, or you have to ask someone to keep it stable. So for this reason, we will recommend some equipment for you with proper links. And obviously, you need some sort of camera. Your webcam usually cannot do it by itself unless it's a wireless webcam. Most of the time, you'll need some sort of video camera or use your smartphone as a camera. This is the method we will describe. Now, once you have your equipment set, you can do your lecture you can record your lecture in two ways. The first one is that you can somehow make sure that whatever your camera is pointing at, whatever it is capturing, you send it to the computer screen and then you record the screen. Or you can simply record as you are writing, take the video, and then later transfer it to your PC. So you can see that you can either live share or you can pre-record. So if we are going to live share, we will use some sort of software that will convert our smartphone camera to a wireless webcam. Okay, or it can be a wired webcam as well. So basically, your phone camera will work like a webcam. So the software we're going to discuss is Droidcam, but I have also tried out some alternatives which also work. Iriun Webcam. This was very easy when it came to detection. Like I just installed the software and it started working properly immediately, but it has less options than Droidcam. And IVCam, which worked very well when we were using the wired connection, but it did not work wirelessly. So if Droidcam doesn't work for you, you can think of the other alternatives. Actually, when I was showing the demo, I was forced to use Iriun Webcam because my phone was having some memory issues and I couldn't install any app at that moment. But don't worry, all the apps work the same way. The basic concept of using Droidcam or any other application, to be honest, for this purpose is that you have to run the software both in your desktop and your smartphone. That is, your smartphone app must work together with your desktop app to send the camera data to your desktop. So you have to keep both of them on at the same time. Now, once you have both apps open, you can establish a connection between them by either Wi-Fi or USB. So it can be wired or wireless. So if you choose the Wi-Fi connection, just be warned that the speed will depend on your Wi-Fi strength. So if you have good Wi-Fi, go for this. You don't have to do much. You just have to take certain data from the phone app and put it in your desktop app. So the connection will be established just like that. However, if your Wi-Fi is not very good or you simply want completely lagless connection, in that case, you can go for USB connection. In this case, you will connect your phone with your desktop using the USB cable. However, in this case, you have to make sure that your cable is good quality and your port or cable is not loose. I had some problems regarding this, So make sure that you are using a good cable. A good cable will solve 99% of your problems. And one other thing to take note is that you will have to turn on certain options of your smartphone for this. We will cover that in next slide. And one more thing, that as you are using Droidcam, it's recommended that you use some sort of good quality marker to write on your paper, because it's usually not full screen. Let's take a look at the setup. You can see that we have this phone here that is focused on the paper, and it's showing up on your computer screen. And it's usually not full screen. In the paid version, you can zoom in, but it's not full screen. You can use it full screen in a specific case, but you cannot freely change the size. So make sure whatever you're writing is clear and easy to read. Okay, just like our sir here. By the way, this whole setup, this is thanks to one of my colleagues, Shujan Howladar sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your helpful tutorial. So I mentioned Droidcam is not usually full screen. That's not a bad thing, because in that case you can keep other documents open as you work on Droidcam. But say you are writing a lot of things on your page and you want to use Droidcam in full screen. In that case, you will have to make sure that you're using Droidcam as a webcam in your video conferencing app. For example, I personally use Microsoft Teams. So for Microsoft Teams, what you'll have to do is, while you are sharing your screen with your students, you'll have to go to Settings, then click on Devices, and choose Droidcam as your camera. As soon as you do that, whatever is whatever your phone is picking up, it will be shown in full screen to your students. Just the way when you turn on your webcam, they see your face full screen. So now they will see your page full screen. And these settings can be changed in the middle of a meeting. So as soon as you're done with your lecture, you can simply switch back to your regular camera. So this is not going to be a permanent thing. So the certain options I mentioned for Droidcam is the developer options and USB debugging. We also already mentioned USB debugging for virtual tablet and screen mirroring back in smart pen usage option 2 and 4. So if you're using any of these three options, that is, if you're using Droidcam or you're using virtual tablet or you're using one of the screen mirroring software like SCRCPY. So in that case, you will have to enable developer options in your phone and then turn on USB debugging. This process is actually not the same for all Android device. By the way, this is only available in Android device. So a general process is mentioned in this YouTube link. I'll also put this in the video description, so please check that out. So when we first start up a Droidcam, Iriun Webcam, or any similar software, this is how it looks like. It looks blank. It's waiting for a connection with the phone through either a USB cable or a Wi-Fi connection. So we are going to start up the Iriun Webcam app on our phone. But even that is not enough. We need something to establish the connection. You can see I have turned off my Wi-Fi, so right now I will use the USB cable to establish a connection. You can hear the sound of the connection being established. You might see an after image of the last session you had, so that's not a big deal, don't worry. It will start reflecting what's being shown on the mobile app very soon. Most of the options tend to be in mobile. You can change the orientation from landscape to portrait. So let's do that. It'll take a moment to re-establish the connection, but after that you'll be once again able to see what the phone is seeing. So we're looking at this book, and you can see the lag is very small. If your surroundings aren't too bright, you can turn on the flash. You can also flip the view if you wish by pressing the middle button here on your phone. This happens in some laptops. For example, I have an Asus laptop that always shows horizontally flipped webcam output. So if you have an issue like that, you can fix it here. This can also be caused by video conferencing app, because when I use any webcam with Microsoft Teams, it flips my image thinking that I want to see a mirrored image of myself. So if I want to fix this, I have to use the flip option in the app. You can also see how the page is now in bigger size compared to how it was when we were just using the PC client. So if you want to show your page in a bigger size to your students, you should probably use this option, the video conferencing app option. Both of these methods work in Droidcam and IVCam as well, so it should not be a problem no matter which software you pick.